Hello world, my name is Matt, and I want to welcome you to the first ever MAGA news commentary. Of course, MAGA stands for Make Anthony Give Analysis. I'm joined with the man himself, Mr. Anthony. Anthony is the editor at crimsonpledge.com, and he loves to eat a lot of pickles straight out of the jar. I have seen it. Anthony, does that about cover your qualifications? I thought it did, so.
I mean, I also have a college degree in engineering.
Oh, okay. That's good too.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
All right, let's get right into some current events. On Easter Sunday this year, a half dozen coordinated terrorist attacks in Sri Lankan churches and hotels left nearly 300 people dead, mostly Catholics. 110 of those victims died as a result of the bombing at St. Sebastian's Church in Negombo. It's interesting to note that St. Sebastian himself was a 3rd century Christian martyr who was tied to a tree, shot with arrows, and then beaten to death with clubs, all during the Roman Emperor Diocletian's persecution of Christians. How fitting that he too was brutally killed for his faith in Christ. Anthony, if you were the Prime Minister or President of Sri Lanka, what would you do to first help the families of the victims, second, bring the godless perpetrators to justice, and most importantly, prevent the problem from happening again in the future? Is there some secret solution that no one is thinking about?
Yeah, actually there is. So first and foremost, I would call them Christians. I wouldn't call them worshipers of something that isn't, not Christ.
That's good.
Yes. The other one is that how would I prevent this? Well, I would want to dissuade them from doing it again. And how I would do that is that I would call them half believers, the people that killed people, the terrorists. They're half believers. They're not full believers. Like, we have the internet now, and if you think your faith in God is so strong and so powerful, you can use the internet to persuade people to do whatever will your God is. So if you're killing them now, you're not really doing God's work. It's like you're not doing the full momentum of what you can do.
And I think
so
you're right. A lot of Muslim groups already came out condemning the attacks as not what Islam really calls for.
Well, good. That's excellent.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, preventing it. Okay, so I don't know how we can whatever policies can be enacted to prevent them precisely, but I would say, how about an outright shame that is effective rather than non-effective? For example, just simply condemning them isn't good enough. You need to call them half believers.
It makes a lot of sense. You can kind of dissuade them by jeopardizing their motives like that.
Well, that really hurts everyone. That really hurts them in the core, because if they're called a half believer, it really shakes them. It really paralyzes them, and they're also foolish because, like, the people that perpetrate these attacks are young instead of older. When they're older, people don't do that. Older Muslims don't do that because they're wiser. So these younger ones, they're missing something, and that statement instills that kind of thing into them. It instills that unsteadiness, and it really makes them down. So I think name calling them is appropriate.
That's funny. Yeah. It's very similar to what happened recently in New Zealand with that dirtbag kid at that mosque. So it's really the same thing.
I don't know his name. Do you know his name?
Nope, and that's good. So, but still, most of these religious attacks usually are associated with Islam in some way, either through ISIS or Boko Haram or Taliban or something called Al-Shabaab. I was looking it up. Still, almost all the attacks this month have been perpetrated by Muslims, but
by extreme Muslims, not normal Muslims. That's
not normal Muslims for sure, but definitely these militant groups.
Half believers, these militant half believers perpetrated this attack. So they're not real Muslims. Real Muslims would have killed them.
That's true. But do you see a rise in faith-targeted terrorist attacks, and why might that be?
Do I theorize?
Do you think there's a rise, or not?
No.
Yeah,
No,
probably not. Just
I think,
we happen
I
to
think
focus
it's
on it.
I think it's on the reduce. Like ISIS is getting whooped. They're getting whipped. They're losing real bad, and it's like they're getting desperate, and it shows like the real half believers they are. They don't have. They're losing ground. This is the shake of desperation. These extremists are going into the waylight. They know that, and this is like a desperate attempt for attention. And it's like even the news cycles have given them only like a brief focus on these terrorist groups, a brief overview, and then they moved on because like they get the memo too, in a sense.
That's true. All right, topic number 2. Let's move on. The U.S. has been in a trade war with China since before I can remember. Maybe I was a baby or something. Both imports to and exports from China have fallen in recent months as a result of that, but the end is probably in sight. What do you see as an outcome of Trump's trade deals with China?
Oh, it's going to be the biggest trade deal ever. He talked about it. It's going to be a great trade deal. It's going to be a trade deal where everything's covered, and it's a comprehensive trade deal. People were worried about the intellectual property kinds of stuff, but Trump says that's in the package as well. I also hope that the fentanyl in China, from China, because a lot of fentanyl that comes from Mexico is sourced directly from China. That is, I hope the Trump administration really goes hard on that, and it looks like China is stepping up too, because I would like Trump to put that in negotiations so we can end this fentanyl kind of push, this fentanyl drug craze, so we can control it, because a lot of Americans are dying.
Mm-hmm.
Like so many Americans are dying from fentanyl. It's like I hope these drug lords that are producing it in China or in other places get justice. Well,
yeah, but I always thought that fentanyl was so potent that even a small amount of it could be shipped in a box of something else, like electronics or some toys, and that's hard to detect.
No, I mean, what I'm saying is the Chinese government either are unwilling or unable to go after the drug lords, the big guys, the guys that are in charge of producing this in China. They're unwilling or unable to get them, and I would hope that Trump pressures the Chinese government to reconsider that, and more than just reconsider, go ahead and take him out.
I think you're right there. They definitely have vested interest in hurting the United States morally, so they may not really care about that.
I mean, like, if China doesn't trade with us, they're kind of screwed.
That's true. Finally, let's get into the last topic. Probably the biggest one recently is the Mueller report. Long story short, Trump was vindicated on the main issue here, which was Russian collusion. The narrative is pretty objectively fake news at this point, through and through. But the Dems are hoping to find some apocrypha in the redacted portions of the text. Let's see what Congressman Nadler has to say.
Oh, Nads and the dingleberries.
Let's see what he has to say.
The Attorney General appears to be waging a media campaign on behalf of President Trump, the very subject of the investigation at the heart of the Mueller report. Rather than letting the facts of the report speak for themselves, the Attorney General has taken unprecedented steps to spin Mueller's nearly 2-year investigation. 1. He summarized the report and cherry-picked findings in his March 24th letter to Congress. 2. He withheld summaries written by the special counsel that were intended for public consumption. 3. He has briefed the White House on the report before providing Congress a copy, which has helped them prepare a rebuttal response for the president. And now, the evening before the report's scheduled release, the Department of Justice has informed the committee that it will receive a copy between 11 a.m. and noon, well after the Attorney General's 9:30 a.m. press conference.
So he's just crying about the Attorney General not giving him proper amount of time to read through the report. He's still hoping to find something, but...
How much proper amount of time? How much time do you have to read? It's
Yeah.
like 400 pages. Like, how hard is that to read?
That's true.
I mean, you should just. I mean, why can't he
And
just get his? What?
especially because they've shifted their focus from collusion to obstruction of justice. But the question is, if Mueller couldn't convince the grand jury that a crime was committed with regards to collusion, what exactly do the Dems think that they can say that Trump obstructed? If there's no crime, how can he obstruct justice related to that crime? He didn't even pull executive privilege like Obama pulled during the Fast and Furious gun trafficking scandal a couple years ago. What are your thoughts?
Wait, so they want to get Trump on obstructing a witch hunt. think about this.
Yeah, that's exactly what they want. You're right.
During the investigation, the only person that knew for sure whether or not he colluded with Russia was the president himself. So if you know that you didn't do anything because there's no evidence, how can you be obstructing? Are you obstructing injustice?
I don't think so, right? I think that's part of the equation.
I have some notes on this one actually. So it is a witch hunt, and so you're gonna get in trouble for obstructing a witch hunt. I don't what are they saying that what laws did he break? What did he do? Did he just tweet? Are they gonna get him?
I think the idea is that he expressed anger and stuff towards members of his own cohort with regards to this.
Well,
and that sort of makes them not want to pursue it any further.
So yell and scream at someone because of this?
Yeah, but it's a natural response. Someone accuses you of something you didn't do, it's natural to get a little bit angry. I think I would do that for sure.
Well, it's like he was angry because this would really hurt him doing his job as president. Of course he's angry.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't be angry? Well, I mean, I would hope that no one got yelled at too much. So imagine. So imagine. What they're seeing is that they're imagining all of this evidence for a witch hunt, and the thing is all this facts might look like evidence, but it's not evidence. Well, we can tell it's not evidence because the most qualified person in the world, Robert Mueller, didn't find any evidence. He is the most qualified person. You can't think of anyone.
Yeah, nor could he convince anybody that there was any evidence either. So, honestly, it was him with the grand jury. There's no defense attorney there either. It's just him alone. If he couldn't convince a jury by himself that there was a crime, there was no crime.
Well, it's specifically, what are they saying? They're saying that he obstructed justice by yelling at some people. What did he? Is it because he? What was the? What evidence do they have for obstruction of justice? How about that? What do they have?
I don't think there's very much. I think they're hoping that in all the blacked out part of the text, they might find something better.
They want the redacted. They can't have the redacted version. I mean, they can't have the unredacted version.
Yeah.
The reason why is because the reason why those things were blacked out is because they are in relation, maybe possibly, to other ongoing investigations about maybe other things, and to release that information to the public would compromise those investigations, and there might also be some classified stuff going on there. So we can't know that.
Yeah.
We can't just know that. It's not a question of. It's a question of. It could be a question of national security. So you got the full Mueller report. You weren't really ever. It wasn't really granted that you would get the Mueller report, but now you want the unredacted version. Like, how much do you want?
Yeah, I think they said they would have a couple people from each party, from some committee, come and view the report, the full unredacted version. But it's in a closed room, and they would know if it was leaked because only a few people can actually see it. So.
Excuse me.
All right, that's all the time we have right now. Thank you for your time, Anthony. I hope you enjoyed this commentary. Everybody, if you did, or if you just like eating a lot of pickles, hit the subscribe button. and like the video, and check out all the links in the description. See ya.